for liftoff in 3, 2, 1. Godspeed, cowboy.
Hello and welcome to My First Dungeon, the tabletop role-playing podcast that helps game masters learn new games and make each one better than the last. And if you are listening to this, then you just listened to the last episode of our Orbital Blues season. And I gotta say, that was certainly one of the best things we've put on this particular channel. And I'm very excited to talk about it with the full cast. So first, let me introduce everybody who is here. We've got all the cast members. We've got Abby Hepworth, Elliot Davis, Chinook Tessera, Draconics, and Carolyn Page. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Space.
Oh, hi, everybody.
Space. And we are joined once again by the co-creators of Orbital Blues, Zach Cox and Sam Sleney. Welcome.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for coming back. And let me say on behalf of everybody, thank you for creating this game because we had a whole bunch of fun playing it.
Yes.
Good. We're glad. Thank you. It would be a bit awkward if you were like, we hated this.
We hated it. We have notes.
What's the point of sponsoring something if you can't get empty flattery afterwards? it's the whole game.
You're going to get your money's worth today.
So funny.
Guys, my one note is I think they should be happy. What if they the Cowboys are happy?
Yeah.
What if it was Happy Space Cowboys?
I've written rules for being happy in Afterburn. That genuinely exists.
Oh,
So for
no.
that,
He said read the book.
There's
Oh my God.
there's an explicit retirement move that I've written in. It's like a
Yeah,
sort
because
of
you can't keep
mechanic
playing
for
if you're
having.
a happy cowboy.
I love it.
Yeah, if you don't have a trouble, you just need to retire. So yeah, there's like an explicit mechanic for having warm and trusting moments with your crewmates because the expansion is kind of more about family and excitement. So as for your genuine piece of feedback, there will be happy cowboys once after.
Happy Cowboys are on the horizon.
But I think like throughout the season, you guys got a bunch of the notes from that, right? Like one of at least blank, like retired happy. And you guys maybe don't have as much trouble anymore as you used to with all that stuff resolving in an absolutely insane pair of final episodes. So,
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about with the season. Zach and Sam, I want to open it with you. We told an Orbital Blues story, but is this the type of Orbital Blues story that you were setting out for people to play when you initially wrote the game? Like, were there ways that we deviated from what you anticipate when you guys think of an Orbital Blues story? And were there ways that you think we like nailed it?
There's like the whole adage of no plan survives contact with players.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not an optimum Orbital Blues game or like an on-brand Orbital Blues game. I'm very much the vibes guy. Zach is the capture of the vibes and the mechanics. I put the vibes out there. They coalesce into things at your table through Zach's mechanics. As long as you got that like feeling of Orbital Blues, whatever that is to you, it's intangible. Of wow, this is something I can only do in this game. Like then you ran the perfect game in my opinion, and you ran it how we wanted it to be. And I know you guys played around with a couple of mechanics here and there. As for like the vibe, as long as you got a feeling from the game and it elicited an emotional response in you to be like, this is something. Whatever that something is, as long as it was emotional and it was a journey and it was, you went through an experience, then you did it, and you did it how we intended, because there's no right or wrong way to do it. What about you, Zach?
I thought one of the pieces of advice that Sam and I gave to Brian during the sort of creator interview before the session was like, hook the troubles into the world. And then suddenly by the end of that session 0, and I imagine a lot of really hard work afterwards, you guys had done that and like hooked your troubles into a lot of stuff that existed within the Subtler System adventure.
Yeah, that was good.
Saul Jackson, the Reno Snakes worked in there. Obviously, everybody trying to shoot up Palazzos, and then Maria just also being there, which is the way for all of the troubles to kind of work. And it was really exciting to see what you guys were doing, like hooking into the adventure and making like the emotional hooks of those characters mean much more. Because Saul Jackson being a slimy son of a bitch is all one thing, but if he's also your dad who never loved you, that's even better, right?
Yeah.
So it added a load of emotion to the characters that like you'd get in a normal campaign, but it really ramped it all the way up, which made it sadder quicker. So good work.
That is a thing that is a huge boon to me as a GM and to anyone as a GM. Like when I start introducing characters and the players all picked up on, oh, great, Saul Jackson's a guy. Let me make it even sadder because he's my dad. Great. The Pratzos exist. Great. They killed my long lost love. Great. And then Maria was also there.
That's Maria's whole trouble, is that she's your average gal.
She's just also there.
Yeah. Brick in the wall, aka also there.
It's just
Also
such
there.
a fun
I love that
one where I was like, and it's funny because I feel like in character creation, before I was really looking through the game, I was just thinking about like what Brian had talked about with the vibes of it and this. And so I was trying to come up with character ideas before having actually read through any of the game, and was like, I just didn't really know what I wanted to do and this and that, whatever. And then as soon as I started looking through the troubles, I had like 10 ideas. I was like, oh, here we go. This guides you. This is how you get it. Like, and then you can really build off of those. And then when we were building the world, again, it just like felt really effortless to try to connect all of those things together and make it just as sad as we possibly could.
I think something that this game does better than any other system that I've encountered is through the mechanics, the story is told. Like through the troubles, it moves the story forward, which is like what game design should be. So I just think you fucking nailed it, guys.
Thank you.
It's great to have that, like, it's great to have when you're a player, like one thing to lean back on. Like when you're looking at like a D&D character sheet, there's so much information. You can do a lot with that. But when you're playing Orbital Blues, like you have your trouble. It's like, great. At any point, if I don't know what I'm doing, I just lean back. And I think, Caroline, I think you did it particularly, it kind of to comedic effect, but it always worked of like, okay, I'm going to go brood now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go look forlornly in the distance.
Yes.
It's a joke, but it also like reaffirms the world. And like, I feel like every time that happened, we all laughed, but then everyone was like, oh no, it's okay. We got to remember to be sad. We got to remember to be sad.
Being sad has never been so fun. And I think it's great. What's great about the premise of Sad Space Cowboys is, from a storytelling perspective, making the choice that makes your character sad, that makes things harder for your character, is literally good storytelling. And so that just being all present and the mechanics encouraging you to do that is like so chef's kiss.
I can't remember who it was, but somebody said, oh, I've got 2 ideas and I don't know which one I'm going to do. And then someone else said, do the one that's sadder. And I was like, yeah, perfect. That's games design. We've got you hooked there. It's working.
I really enjoy it because one of the biggest things that I don't enjoy in a lot of TTRPGs is making the quote unquote bad choice. I mean, punished for it, even though like story wise it's great. But in Orbital Blues, you're like, yeah, it could put you in trouble, but you get something from it. You get some kind of reward from it, some kind of mechanical advantage, which is always nice because I've been lucky enough to have a lot of rule of cool GMs, but sometimes you don't have that. And sometimes you need rules to back you up when you want to do something cool and sad, or cool and
you gotta come with the receipts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Orbital Blues, like having your back in case you have a rule of rule GM rather than a rule of cool, is just like, again, perfect game design.
And I think if you can say anything about me, it's that I'm definitely a rule GM. I'm 100% by the book.
Totally,
You rule with an iron fist.
I rule with no cool stuff happening at my table.
We came for you, Brian, because with the rules. So Zach did pretty much most of the rules, but one that I put in was the swan song and the leitmotif, which is, even if you're playing by the rules, turns you into a rule of cool GM, because it's like, right, you are dying, play your song, roles don't matter because you're going to die at the end of this anyway. And initially it was like, should we really give players that kind of power? And I was like, they're dead anyway at the end of this scene, and that's why the final bullet point is you die. No matter what, you die. And it was because I've always been on rule of cool GM. I don't care about rules. Just do it. If it suits the narrative, go for it. So I was like, I want to put something in that turns even a rule of rule GM into a rule of cool GM, because ultimately the thing about Orbital Blues is it should be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it plays into a thing, Brian, that you talk about often, which is that if a player's going to ask to be able to do something like weird or kooky or cool or like break the game a little bit, it's always wonderful when they also propose a like negative for themselves of saying like, can I roll, here, and if I get a nat 20, I get to do my super cool thing. But if I roll anything else, I take 10 points of damage, or like whatever it is. It's eating your vegetables so that
Gotta
you
eat
can
the
have your
vegetables.
dessert.
Gotta eat the vegetables.
I know, Elliot, in the finale, you did it because you got Soul Jack. So I should have said at the beginning, massive spoilers for Orbital Blues. So
Yeah.
if you're listening to this, you haven't listened to the season, boy, it's gonna be ruined for you. But when you pull out both your and Saul Jackson's guns, and you very sheepishly go, hey, can I fire both these guns at the same time? But only if I give myself against the odds for every time.
Against the odds for both. It was fair. It was a fair trade.
You knew you had to show me the vegetables before I would say anything. Like you were like rushing.
Yeah,
to
you're
be like,
not a
"Look at all
rule
the
of
vegetables I will
rules
eat."
GM. You're a rule of vegetables GM.
I'm a rule of vegetables GM.
Just for what it's worth, Elliot, I'm pretty sure that is mathematically just worse.
Oh
Yeah.
So well
For
done.
sure.
When you asked for it, I was like, that's dumb.
Yeah.
For sure. I thought about it after, and especially listening to it back, I was like, there's no way that was going to do better for me.
Yeah, but it's better vibes.
It doesn't matter.
It's
But
the
the vibe was
vibes,
cool.
yeah, are
vibe
better.
is right.
Vibe, yeah.
Vibes above all else.
While we're kind of talking about vibes and spoilers, I'd love to go around the table for the players of like favorite or like most memorable moments from the season. What made them memorable for you, whether it's for your character or for someone else? I hate to spring this on anyone. So does anyone have one they want to start with?
I'll start. It was like a simple moment that didn't last too long, but I think when Eli and Ward like had a little point of contention and there was just a little strain on this friendship between these two people who are like the same, but just didn't see eye to eye. And I thought that was a really fun moment as a player. And it was kind of heartbreaking because I feel like I'm bad at making bad things happen to characters that I love. And that's something I'm working on as a writer and a GM. So that was just a really nice moment for me.
I remember listening back to that and editing it really nice because like that's the first moment you kind of get the idea of like them as pseudo brothers. And then I think, Carolyn, you mentioned at the end of like episode 3 of like how the series is like a battle for Blank's soul. And that kind of like comes to fruition, as well as like brother against brother and then brother against other brother and dead brother and live brother.
A bonus moment, my favorite moment, like visually, I think, is the fight in the bathroom on the like rest stop station, and just Blank. Like, I loved that scene, and then just at the end, like Blank just like looking around the corner with the mask is like so funny to me.
I also love that part because Blank's bit of being like, "Oh, I kind of wanted it to pop off," like being disappointed, was extremely funny.
I genuinely nearly crashed my car when I was driving last night watching the episode, and when Ward declared the damage reduction of the once per arc gambit, and I was like, "You motherfucker!" I was certain you were dead. I didn't know you had that, and I was like, "Yes, he's done it. Our boy Ward's lived it."
I remember listening back to that and honestly like forgetting it because Elliot is so quiet and so. You must have had the biggest shit-eating grin on your face. I gotta go find the video of it.
It was so big. I saw it. It was
just one thing, and then you can hear it in my voice. I say yeah, but as if just like, oh yeah, this is gonna be like a rules clarification or something. And then he's like, oh, I actually just fucked your shit up. you didn't know it, but I absolutely wrecked your shit.
I was gonna say, I've listened to that just clip like 7 times. It wrecks me every time, and I love it. And you just have, it's perfect.
I was so fucking nervous about that moment.
Elliot was like, Elliot let us all mourn for like a good like couple of seconds to be like, oh no, we lost the ward, and Elliot was like, actually.
It's also, it's not like I skimped on the description. I was like, oh, you feel a bullet go through your heart. And it's
yeah.
I
you
went
described
visceral.
the char on my heart and everything. And I was like, well, you know what?
Actually,
take the char back.
I also love that moment because in the edit, because I get to add in Behold's theme for the regret and also play the vocals for it.
Oh, and then it hits. It hits
hits
after that moment. That
it
song
hits. It's the same way that Kumari's theme, when you listen to it before episode 3, sounds kind of like it feels kind of like sad almost or something. And then after episode 3, when Kumari goes off, it's like, oh no, this theme is different now. This hits different.
It's a testament to Behold's ability to capture theme and vibe and character, in that the songs almost predict the characters to a level that we don't yet see as players. And if it happened once, I would say it's a fluke, but it's happened a few times now that he's managed to pull that off. So absolutely shout out Behold.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny in that moment, because I was obviously, when we wrote the Troubles, it was a couple years ago now, and I realized a couple months ago that I didn't have one about anxiety, which, like, when you're first listening to the episode, when Chinook's playing Kumari, you just think that's his problem. Like, he's not really backing himself. He's got a bit of an attitude, like the lack of go-getterness or whatever. That's the trouble. That's what. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe. I think I said in the Many-Sided Media Discord, like, oh, I should write a trouble about having anxiety, and that was not what that character's trouble was whatsoever. I really missed that ball completely, and that's I bought it hook, line, and sinker. So good mid-arc shift.
Yeah. Chinook, I think this season, I think more so than any other season, there were like multiple times where you upped the ante on stakes. Where for episodes 1 and 2,
Chinook's
like
move.
Yeah,
I think it is, but like I think this season to double, because the first 2 episodes, Kumari is like a fun, almost comic relief. You're like, oh, this is a person who's really insecure, and like that's kind of funny. They brought the hand cannon. They're worried they're going to lose it. And then episode 3 happens, and you're like, oh no, this is a whole different person. And then also the revelation that I, as a GM, did not know of, oh, I have a child that I lost. And then getting to bring that child back and like having all this and like running back for the child at the
Absolutely brutal.
Every time there was a reveal for Kumari, those were the reveals that I was like, oh shit, I gotta rethink some things. I think every other time I was kind of like, okay, I can roll with that punch right away. But it's like, oh, Kumari has a child now. Oh man, the stakes got way higher.
That was intense.
Yeah. No, it was intense to play. Like I like made these choices and was like, I'll be okay. And then I think after every session, I had to like, I think in every talkback, I was just sitting there silent because I was like, what did I just do to myself? Like, this was horrifying to experience. Like, I don't want to be here right now. Like, I mean, fun, like so much fun to play. And also just like, I had to like give myself like the warning of like, you're not Kumari. Like, this isn't your kid. Like, it's fine.
Gotta combat the bleed.
Yeah.
This was a season, where I feel like doing the talkbacks after each. It was a nice, just kind of like, what's the word? Transition. It was a nice transition period from being like, we're all super sad and there's a lot of really intense feelings. And then doing the talkback where we kind of talked it through and then being like, okay, I feel like maybe I could go live my real life now.
Therapy afterwards.
Yes,
yeah.
tabletop.
Also, like,
what
I really
we call it? Therapy role playing.
Therapy role playing.
Therapy role playing.
Therapy role playing game. Yeah.
It was also fun to see the characters like obviously be sad because that's the game, but also like have those moments. I think in the first couple episodes of like they're okay, like they're a hodgepodge little group of people that like kind of like each other, and then like going from that to like the tragedy that everyone has experienced made that tragedy hit so much harder. Of like, oh, we've seen like Eli and Ward kind of be friends and okay and like fun, and now they're upset with each other and like can't stand each other, and like seeing like Blank be like silly and goofy, and then also like, oh, they are fucked up fighting their best friend in a ring trying to like not die. and like have these real experiences was it made it hit so much harder.
Yeah.
It was really nice to also have the arc that I am in no way a mastermind. This just happened to work out because you guys are very good and this game is very good. But like starting at the beginning of having everyone's kind of happy and we're only seeing like fragments of your flashbacks. Like we have that hyperspace nostalgia moment where everyone gives like a little snippet, but everyone's happy and everything's good. And like, I'm not wrecking your life. And then by the time we get to episodes 5 and 6, I'm like, Kumari, you're reckoning with your child. Like you might die. Blank, you're fighting your long lost friend who like in some sense like gave their life up for you in the ring. Ward, you're facing your father. Eli, you are facing down your possible mother-in-law. Maria, you're there.
I'm there. I'm bearing witness to these things.
but seeing those like fragments of memories as they kind of became the full memories, and also getting that same arc of like, we're okay, we're having trouble, we're reckoning.
The other arc we kind of go through in what you're talking about is like, you see in the first 2 episodes, like here is a like found family of people that are very loving and caring for each other. And then when the things that when their troubles come to the surface, you get tension and an almost breaking apart of the group, which is very real. Like, you know, like when people are at their worst, like it causes interpersonal conflict and all this. And then in the last like 30 minutes of the finale, there is a reminder for everyone of that like found family nature of this group. And even though Kumari and Blank end up leaving in the end, we all end up like invigorated by this memory of Kumari being like, hey, don't die on me, back in like a happier time where we weren't facing all of the worst parts of ourselves. So there's this like up, down, up of the whole season in terms of like our like loving interconnectedness.
It's the emotional accordion, right? Of like the things happening. And the good news is that like all of your troubles were brewing at the same time, right? Which is something that when everybody's playing really well to their troubles, you're all kind of gaining blues at the same rate, and then you can all kind of pop off at once in what becomes like the end of the arc. And then that's something that can then cycle again. And in the end of Hypothetical Season 2, there's a whole load of other exciting things that happen as your new troubles kind of brew and change and move in new directions. So it's a real good tool for pacing that works really well for specifically the number of sessions that we tried to put in this campaign deliberately. And when me and Brian were like trying to talk out what the season was going to be like and how long it was going to be, I tried to say like, oh, maybe we should do some less episodes to make it cheaper for my budget. And Brian was like, no, we need to do 5 because that's how long it'll take for everything to explode. And that was very wise of you.
This is also another peek behind the curtain of how much I am not a mastermind. We eventually decided on 4. At some point I came back and said, we got to do 5. Well, I'll take it on the chin. And then 5 turned into like a 4-hour episode. So that became 5 and 6. So
Yeah.
take from this what you will, but in no way is the GM a mastermind. At best, I'm running along beside everybody else, trying to lay the tracks in front of them.
I can't remember if it was our first session or a second. I think it was our second, where Brian and I were like doing a little debrief afterwards. And he was like, I just don't think we're going to get through the things that I want to get through in 4. Like, I think we got to tag on a 5th. And he was like listing some of the hopes for like we still really wanted to do a space battle, and that didn't really get together or whatever. And he's like telling me all the things he wants to do. And I was like, yeah, there's just no world in which we can do this in 4.
I don't, a little peek behind our curtain. I think when I wrote the subtler system, we hadn't actually fully fleshed out space combat. That was like one of the later things, which is why there's not really much opportunity for it in that adventure. But question to you, Brian, like you saying that squeezing everything into these sessions felt like it needed to be bigger. Do you feel as a GM that there was anything that you would have liked to explore further in the adventure or with the crew? Because you mentioned earlier, like, spoiler warning for people listening, but this is very much a spoiler warning for the adventure that this crew went on, and it's very much not been a spoiler for the adventure as a whole, I don't think. Was there anything that you would have liked to have seen expanded upon further, or what you would do next?
There were a ton of things that I had, because like I feel like every after every session 0, I kind of make a list of like, all right, here are all the things that kind of need to happen. Here's like what every character wants to do. Let's make sure we do all of them. And for this season, Drac, you were absolutely the one who got shortchanged, because the one thing I had for you was orbital racing and like hoverboard racing, and I could never figure out how to get it in. And the other thing that we missed out on doing was like ship combat. And when I planned the season, my thought was like, oh, Reno 12 will kind of be the high noon standoff of like, that's where everything is. That's where all the danger is. So like they'll go there, they'll like maybe go to the High Rollers Casino, the Reno Snakes. Maybe like I had a thing planned that is mentioned in an episode but never actually came to fruition, that Dell was fighting out of the 7-year itch, which was actually the rebuilt karaoke can. So like you guys would have gone to see the Reno Snakes, and Kumari would have had this like moment of like, oh, this is where it all went down. But, and this is absolutely correct to all of you guys, I explained to you like, oh, Reno 12 is where everything dangerous is. And you guys all very reasonably said, well, let's not go there.
I felt so bad after
you
that.
Also didn't. You also didn't go to Sutler Orbital as well, right?
That's
and there's
correct.
entire like swathes of characters that happen there. There's the whole bounty hunting thing. There's Indy Carter, who just makes it out with his briefcase of money, except he doesn't, and good old Clancy Clearwater gets to run away with that bounty. And like, there's a whole other Parazzo you didn't touch.
Yep.
And when Mary O'Neill's got a quest, Paz Jr.'s not in there. So like, you know, as much as the big undercarriage bar fight was like a big focus of it, like that's like one quest line, sort of.
Yeah.
Like, if it's actually written into the adventure. There's so much stuff left.
Are we saying season 2? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what I think is happening right now.
Fair, you guys
Orbital 2s?
You guys did kill
I wanted
most
to
of
call
the
the book
people.
that, and Zach wouldn't let me.
Oh no, we're bringing it up.
Sam, Zach, come on.
Sam.
That's genius.
Ditch Zach. Let's
I
work
prefer-
together.
Yeah,
I prefer Orbital Blues, personally.
So they said to
Wow.
me, they said
Oh
to
my
me,
God.
they said absolutely in no case should you refer to it as Orbital 2s online, because I don't want that catching on. And I was like, what can I say? What can I do? I was like,
it's online
it's
now.
Orbital 2s. It's Orbital 2s. That's what it is. And everyone who knows me personally has been like, how's Orbital 2s coming along? And I'm like,
Hell yeah.
Once it's out
I don't think I'm legally allowed to recognize that name. Zach says I can't.
I think the compromise is just calling it Morbital 2s. Is what.
Just lose all
Yeah.
of the branding.
There you go.
Yeah,
All
all
the
of it,
branding
yeah.
is gone.
Change the words
Oh, no.
until you don't know what we're talking about.
Zach's
Orbital
literally
2s.
pulling their hair out right now.
You know, Zach, unfortunately, I think the real problem is I don't like the book hasn't gone to print yet, so you could still change it. You could still
Still
There
time.
is-
Still time.
There is a
I-
mock-up
time.
cover out there somewhere when we were doing like cover ideas where I actually did write Orbital 2s on it and then sent it to Josh and Zach. I'm trying to find it now. It does exist.
The fight in your voice as you talk about this, Sam, is so funny.
Yeah. You can see the desire in
Yeah.
Sam's eyes.
Yeah, always style over substance, and Orbital 2s is all style, baby.
But we've got to save Orbital 2s for second edition. That's ultimately the thing. If we ever do a new version of the core book, that's what I'm.
Oh,
So really,
interesting.
You guys are thinking too short term. You're being myopic. I am.
Just put it back on us.
I'm thinking 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, when there's going to be sad cowboys in the future.
I love it.
Playing 3D chess.
3D chess, and we're
3D
playing
chess,
checkers.
just chess.
That's just chess.
Oh yeah, that's just regular chess. That's just regular chess. I don't play chess.
Anyway, my favorite moment.
Elliot,
God
you
damn
could-
it.
That was a
God damn
good
it.
segue. You can tell you guys are podcasters, can't you?
Always pulling it right back in.
You know what that was? It's Elliot looked at my screen, saw me looking down at my notes, was like, "Oh,
Yep.
Brian's gonna do this. I might as well do it."
Yep. Brian needs to get us back on the rails. Anyway, my favorite moment was in episode 3 when it was Maria and Ward versus Kumari and Eli. I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
raised the stakes of the whole season and kind of changed the tone and And to reference what Zach was saying about the emotional accordion, that was like the push in of the accordion in a real way. So I loved that moment. I loved the darkness that you brought to Kamari Chinook in episode 3 that we had to react to.
I think in starting the season with Kamari, I like very much made a choice of like Kamari's gonna be goofy. Like I think everyone in character creation made like very serious, like hard, sad characters, and I was like, I think initially in design, like in session 0, I was like, Kamari is like stoic, and like I described them in this way that I don't think I played them. And then in like seeing everyone else, I was like, oh no, Kamari is actually going to be like a silly, goofy captain, but then like have shit that like they're using that to hide the shit that they've experienced. And I think that moment of like seeing someone that they loved get hurt was like, oh, I can actually stop this. But then came out in such a violent, horrific way.
Just overcorrected.
But even like episode 1, I think when we're dealing with Dick Whiskey, like Kamari breaks his nose twice, and I think Carolyn has a very visceral like, oh my god, like, stop reaction of like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, yeah, wait, why is Kamari so violent? And then had to like in my head justify that,
right?
Like, and I guess it's even there in episode 2 where like everyone else gears up with their normal weapons to go take on the Sutler 47 fuel hub, and Kamari takes off the ship's cannon. And like
he just takes off the cannon.
Ultimately didn't use it, but like grabbed the largest weapon to a point where like when everyone saw it, the whole bit was like, whoa, 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 whoa. The moment of Ward and Maria versus Eli and Kamari, I've never really run player versus player before, or I can't think of any real. I guess it happened a little bit in Die, kind of, but I've never really had player versus player, specifically like people fighting each other. I really liked player versus player being like a couple of skill checks. It felt very cool, and also not like confrontational in the way that I always worry player versus player will be, of like, well, why are you killing me? We've got other people. It's like, no, we're at cross purposes. We're both trying to do our thing. Whoever wins will get to choose, but it's not necessarily like I'm shooting Ward. It's I'm at odds with Ward.
There's more a battle of wills than any kind of physical battle.
Yeah. You know what it kind of felt like? Is like the moment in a superhero movie where both people are launching like their laser beam attacks and they're meeting in the middle, and you see the ball in the middle going back and forth.
Yeah.
That's kind of the vibe.
And that ball is blank soul.
It's just a stream of cowboy hats.
Just
throwing them out like
rapid fire cowboy hats.
Cowboy hats and spurs.
One of my favorite, I mean, I feel like we've talked about so many of like, there's so many moments that I absolutely loved, but one that I really like appreciated listening back was Eli in confronting Tony. And Carolyn, how you played so much with the thing that I have been working towards and the thing that I have wanted for so long is happening, and having not quite second thoughts, but am I remembering this correctly, or like, am I wrong, or seeing the pain in Tony, and having even just, it was only a couple of lines and a couple of words or ideas exchanged, but I thought it was so real and wonderful of having like, the thing I've wanted forever, the revenge has arrived, and then being like, crap, the revenge is more complicated than I think I've been remembering it as.
One of my favorite professors said something. He was like a theater history professor, and he said, his name was Sid Friedman, and he said, good stories end with yes, but not in the way that you thought. And so we did get our revenge, but it was tainted or twisted or just not exactly what we expected. And I didn't understand that when he first said it, but the older I get and the more I am involved in like story making, I find that to be so true. So good on you, Brian, for twisting it up. You
well, and even when you finally shoot her, you say, you don't like, it's not really revenge. You just say, I'm done talking, which is such a great final line for that revenge. It's almost like I am done with the moral complexities of my feelings on this revenge, and I am just just shooting you in the face.
I thought about it as like, well, this person's a gangster anyways. Like they've got blood on their hands. So I'll be the avenging angel for, even if it's not for myself, for others.
Midnight Muscadines is a cozy, dark tabletop role-playing game where light and shadow intertwine in a fractured world. Players take on the roles of marmoteers, brave adventurers who journey into the untamed wilderness to collect the elusive Midnight Muscadines, craft magical jams, and protect the fragile light of Nim. Through collaborative storytelling and resourceful gameplay, players weave tales of courage, community, and the pursuit of balance. Will you preserve the light, uncover the truths hidden in the shadows, or reshape the balance of the world forever? Midnight Muscadines is perfect for fans of Studio Ghibli and Sea of Stars who seek to capture the magic of exploration and the heartfelt adventure in a world where small heroes make a big impact. Play Midnight Muscadines as a traditional GM'd game, GMless, or even solo. Midnight Muscadines is crowdfunding now on BackerKit. Join the campaign at pandeongames.com/muscadines.
I'm Quinns of tabletop role-playing game review show Quinn's Quest, and this is Play to Find Out. Play to Find Out is an actual play podcast that brings notorious old games from the 80s and 90s back to the table. Each season of Play to Find Out, I'm joined by Emily Johnson and Rob Morgan.
Good? Nervous?
Yeah.
You both looked at each other really concerned, like you think what's about to happen is going to be unpleasant. And frankly, I think that's rude.
And together, we explore the TTRPGs of ages gone by. Our goal? To separate the TTRPGs that deserve to be remembered from those that maybe don't. I don't know, Emily. It was the 80s. A lot of people were on cocaine. We blow the dust from decrepit systems to learn how they work.
Your 100 on the encounter table bursts out. Right, you've encountered a bug. Get ready. Don't laugh.
How does one get ready for a fog?
Don't laugh.
Encounter their unique quirks.
I do finger guns to cover up how I wince.
A weird thing happens as you do finger guns.
Oh no.
And I'm hoping that the Quinn's Quest community will join us in exploring these games too.
If you this up, cannot describe to you how much your adventure ends here.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because the best way to learn is to play to find out. Play to Find Out is available now on the Quinn's Quest Patreon, but the first episode of each series streams for free on the Quinn's Quest YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcasts.
Anyway, you failed the Earthtech roll, and you made jokes while I was doing my exposition, so you don't get to hear any more.
Oh no! Come on!
I was shook as...
Greg, you got a moment?
Yeah. I'll be honest, I think the whole moment in the toilet scene, we just charge in, just absolutely wreck shop. So we don't give anyone even a remote chance to fight back. And it's
we
just
go so hard.
It's funny because I remember setting that up as being like, okay, there's going to be like a real quick thing in the bathrooms of like, it'll kind of be a goof. And then there's like the real fight over in the thing. And you guys... I think I just should remember this as a GM of like, when you give people the fun thing, they're going to take a lot of time doing the fun thing. And you guys just like went off on these two poor people in the bathroom who were just like having a conversation. Sam, you got any moments that stood out to you?
Mine's actually been mentioned twice now, which was the toilet. So that is one that I distinctly remember writing. It's a little homage to that scene in Pulp Fiction where the toaster pops. Yeah, so I couldn't get that to work naturally because I didn't want to force any of the player characters to go into someone's house. So I was like, right, I'll put it in a gas station where it's being held up, and one of the people holding it up have gone to the toilet. And something that Zach has had to remind me of, the strength of the Sutler, especially when I've come to writing the adventure in Afterburn, is the strength of Sutler system is in how I wrote situations, not stories.
Yeah.
And that is one of my favorite scenarios to just put in there because it's incredibly gameable. Like, will you let the guy go to the toilet in peace, or will you just rush him and kill him? So it's always a fun one to see how people handle that one. You have an opportunity that's presented to you of someone in a vulnerable position. But there's a little more humorous than the usual Orbital Blues kind of position. So yeah, I've been sat here thinking about like my favorite moments, and I was like, wow, that one really resonated with people, and I was put in there as a little meme.
It's very explicitly in the adventure because, like, just for the structure of the solar system, it's like the smallest location, but is explicitly in like a sort of a very active situation where there's a bunch of stuff happening, and obviously lots of other plot points linked back to it. But for a lot of, if you're going to run a one shot, like that bit is the bit of the solar system that you do it in, and that is very explicitly like a sort of tutorial combat for the game where you get a surprise. You probably have a numbers advantage if it's a party, and you probably get surprise as well. But whenever I've done it, the players, because I've run this adventure like 4 or 5 times, maybe. Like I've gone for it a lot of times, and it always seems to take long, and the players always seem to have more fun than like the sort of Mexican standoff 8-12 storming that happens a bit later.
Yep.
The thing that I enjoy about those two combats is that there's a real temptation in, and I've started just talking about adventure design here. There's a real temptation to have like gunfights in empty rooms that maybe have a little bit of cover, but not many verbs, things to interact with. So one of the advice you get when you're like making dungeons as a writer is like have things in the environment that people can interact with. And like for a lot of science fiction concepts, that can be really difficult because you're like, I'm in a droid factory, there's hammers everywhere and bottomless pits and like, you know, all these sci-fi gubbins. But now like a rest stop in a space station, gas station is a thing full of verbs you have no one to interact with, and so is a convenience store. So there's a lot of, I always have fun running that specific encounter, and it's good to see that you guys have had an interesting version of it here.
Yeah.
It's also apparently mostly full of piss, as we found out.
Yeah, it's not very clean.
Mostly.
piss.
I mean, I'm so happy in the second half of the season that Ward was wearing shoes off.
Yes.
You know,
And had
Got
maybe
the
washed
memo.
his suit since sliding in piss. Maybe.
Oh,
Possibly.
God.
We certainly hope
I don't
so.
know if you did.
I think Herbie came over and gave you, like, he knows what to do. Herbie like dry cleans your suit while you're still there.
Just a
Herbie's
little
got a
It wasn't your
steamer,
first time
built-in
coming home.
steamer.
Yeah.
Wasn't my first time
Ward's
coming
first
home covered
time.
in piss? Is that where you're going?
Yep. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. And you took it. Okay, cool. That's cool. I'll go fuck myself.
I didn't want you to.
That's a
I didn't want you to let it
wrap-up,
get out. I didn't want you to have that power over me.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Did you genuinely roll the 21st night of September on that?
We genuinely
Yes.
rolled the 21st
Genuinely.
night.
We
Yeah,
rolled it.
Okay.
After agreeing birthdays was
Yeah.
Kamari's
We
trouble.
purely rolled it, and we were
Insane.
like, "Oh, that's pretty good." And we were like, "Wait a second, we're recording on the 21st night of September," and
It
we
was-
really stuck with it. Yeah,
Oh,
it
yes.
was, it was wild on
Sam, you're a genius.
it was wild on multiple levels because when we recorded the session 0, so our first episode was going to be on the 21st night of September. We had all the birthday things. We're like, amazing. And then when I went back and edited the interview with you and Sam, with Zach and Sam, we also referenced the 21st night of September as the ship name. And it's going to sound like we planned it. I swear to God, we rolled it on the random roll table.
Like my birthday's the 22nd, and then I think I had a birthday the week before, like a party the week before that, where I truly took the inspiration for Kumari. So it was just truly wild.
Yeah, it was such a kismet combination of things.
Oh, I think, Chinook, are you interested in sharing the story of what happened at your real birthday? Because I feel like we've teased it now from the beginning.
You
Or-
teased
Yeah,
it so much
yeah,
I haven't
yeah,
said
yeah.
anything.
Have I not told you this, Drag?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I had a birthday party for my birthday. That's how that works. And I like the whole prompt. Like there was a couple of prompts. Like I had it at a game. Like I rented a game store thing, and had a bunch of my friends come play board games. And like the prompt was like dress up as like the dress code was Chinook, so you had to dress up as something that inspires that. And then I asked everyone to like bring me like a birthday card with like a genuine like memory like that we share, like something that like you were happy to, like when you think of me, like that's what comes up. And I was really excited. Everyone brought cards. It was really sweet and nice. People even brought gifts, which was super nice. So like everyone would come in and there was a Jenga tower and everyone was supposed to like take off a piece of the Jenga tower, put it on top, and whoever toppled it would have to chug a Smirnoff Ice. Disgusting. But I was like, I felt bad because like, what if someone doesn't drink or like doesn't want to? There was like a mechanic in it that like, if you didn't want to do it, you could flip a coin. And if you called it right, I would have to chug the Smirnoff Ice. And people loved that. So like after it toppled the first time, someone flipped the coin, I had to drink it. Everyone was like, hee hee ha ha. And my friends were like, wait, if we just rebuild it and keep knocking it over, we can like constantly make him drink Smirnoff Ices if we call it right. And so I ended up chugging like 10 Smirnoff Ices and getting incredibly drunk.
It's so gross.
To the point where I didn't like getting home was going to be a problem. So my friends all like packed my stuff for me. And somewhere along the way, I think someone threw away my birthday cards. No. And so I actually lost all those birthday cards with like those nice messages. Oh. And like the next day was like so sad, like called everyone, sent out like texts to everyone that came. And the birthday cards are gone.
And we recorded the 2 days later or something.
Yeah.
It was fresh.
Mm-hmm. It was a fresh
on the mind.
Didn't burn down a karaoke bar. Was it really a birthday?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It truly wasn't.
Yeah, to be fair, that board game store no longer exists. There was an incident. They say that there was some like weird stuff at the Chinese place next door, and like that caught fire first, and then it went to the board game store. But there's been some conflicting reports. So I guess they found an accelerant all over the place. I don't know what that means, but it seems bad.
I genuinely got really sad there because I thought a board game store closed down.
Oh no!
That would have been real.
They're alive and well.
They're good.
Okay,
they're doing great.
All the FLGSs should live forever. I think we're kind of coming up to the end of this. But before I swing over to talk about Orbital Blues Afterburn, is there anything else that any of the cast or anyone wants to talk about the season? I know there's a lot. We have just a little bit of time, but is there anything that anyone really wants to get out there?
This is me, I guess, not calling you out, Brian, but I want to hear the answer to this question.
Coming in hot. I love it.
Yeah. Brian emailed all of us and said that we should do some research to answer what our trouble would be next if we continue.
I forgot to do the thing.
Teacher, you asked us to do homework.
I did assign homework, and I asked. So once your troubles come a brewing in this game, you then will often pick a new trouble. And I asked the cast what their character's new trouble would be since their troubles become a brewing. And you are correct. I teased it at the top. I prompted you guys before. And now I've got to deliver on that. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. So Drac, you want to start us off with what would Blank's next trouble be?
Yeah. So I thought about it pretty long and hard because I think like Blank is definitely happier now, but I also think just because of the nature of who they are and honestly who Del is as well, they are going to find themselves in trouble again. And I think it's going to be more tightly related to orbital racing. So I would have picked Too Big for Your Boots. I think they become pretty big in the like kind of dark alley illegal orbital racing scene. And it comes to haunt them a couple of times and get them into quite a bit of trouble. So I think that's kind of a realm of the trouble they'll end up getting into again. So kind of like made up orbital racing. I was like, this would be a cool thing. I think it'll be like a really dangerous thing. People probably like murder each other to be the best at this thing. So I think that'd be an interesting trouble to get into of like other competitors being like, I need to take Blank out. Or in races being like, I want to target Blank specifically to get them out of this race.
You know, I just wish we'd gotten to it this season.
You're good.
For
honestly,
Orbital 2.
Even when I picked for Orbital 2s, honestly, when I picked it, I was like, I knew for a fact, I didn't even expect to have a chance to race. Honestly, I just was like, everyone else is running. I just think it'd be cool to have a hoverboard. That's kind of my thing. That's all I really wanted.
Eli, you want to tell us what your next trouble would be?
Yeah, I think Eli, I mean, if you fall in love hard once, you're going to fall in love again. This is for all you people going through breakups, whatever, right now. You're going to fall in love again. It's really easy to do. Trust me. So I think Eli just like falls in love again, gets his heart broken. So I would take the lovesick trouble. And then he's just like, loves to be sad. He's kind of a Romeo like that.
Love it.
Excellent.
Ward, what do you think?
I think I said this maybe in the talkback of episode 6, and I think it still feels true. I think that Ward would take the bloodthirsty trouble next. I think that killing his dad has sort of broken something a little bit in him, and he's come over to Eli's side of like violent revenge as the answer, and he's done with the in too deep trouble and would go for the bloodthirsty trouble, and is now back to sort of like violence first. Zach, you're giving me a look like you don't agree.
No, it's all good. I'd have liked to see Papa was a Rolling Stone, because you've kind of got the
sense.
now I've dealt with this and now I want to outgrow my dad and be my own man, and deal with that problem.
So that was one that I thought through, but when I read through sort of the questions and everything, it had this sort of like notoriety to the father that you're dealing with, and like I think that Ward is at a place where he wants to never acknowledge his relation to his father again.
For sure.
Yeah, it's no longer Ward Jackson. It's just Ward.
It's just Ward.
Kumari.
If Kumari is not enjoying their life watching their child from afar, they'd probably pick Reluctant Vagabond, just because I think Kumari is going to genuinely miss like everyone on the ship, and like will reflect fondly on like, oh, that was a really good part of my life, and maybe this chasing after a kid that doesn't really want me in their life is silly and dumb.
Oh, so sad.
Damn.
Like, I had a family. Why'd I leave them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was the right move.
And great, that's all the characters, all 4 characters in Orbital Blues. I'm sorry, Maria, I didn't see you there.
Also there.
I feel like everyone wants Maria to take Bloodthirsty or something.
I want Maria to just be like, by the way, I'm a seasoned criminal this entire time.
Honestly,
I'm like the killer of worlds.
I've thought about
I'm Papa now.
so much. And I feel like originally I was like, maybe it's like too big for your boots. And Maria just starts to become like a super confident captain or like things, whatever. But I think realistically and kind of ironically, I would also go with Reluctant Vagabond. But it's not a longing to return because she's been on this ship now for so long. The home she misses is Kumari. And that's the home she wants to return to.
What the hell? My heart.
Oh, that hurt.
My platonic life partner.
I was going to say, I feel like it's a sort of combo of it's not quite the lovesick, but it's the finding your home in another person. Yeah, so I think it's Reluctant Vagabond as well.
And then Herbie is definitely taking Bloodthirsty.
Well, I don't know if Herbie survived.
Betrayed Herbie. If Herbie survives,
gone. Herbie's
they're
gone,
coming for us.
I was going to say, I think Herbie's the villain.
I don't think
he's the villain of season 2.
Yeah.
Herbie never dies because he's a balloon. He just kind of like slowly reconstitutes. Like someone will find him, they'll blow him back up, and then he's good to go. Yeah, they're going to give him one too many cranks, and boy, oh boy, you better watch out.
You're going to watch out.
There's honestly so much more I want to talk about this season. There's so many more like little peeks behind the scenes of stuff, but we're running out of time. And I do want to talk about Orbital Blues Afterburn, which at time of recording has about 10 hours left on its Kickstarter and has blown through just about all of its stretch goals. So Zach,
so close to 100K.
So close to 100K. 100K pounds, not these
100K pounds. We're well over
American
$100K. Yeah.
Zach and Sam, you want to give us a quick talk about how the campaign went, what all these stretch goals are, and what you're excited about for the next chapter of Orbital Blues?
Yeah, so the project's gone so well. We've passed through like 6 stretch goals, petty rises, bumper stickers, spaceship generators, additional adventures, 2 additional adventures, 2 more cassettes, one of which has the music from this season on it. So if you want to see the themes for each one of these characters, plus somewhere between 2 and 6 other songs, depending on how busy Colin is between now and when we want to go live. Also, Elliot's a stretch goal that we
Yeah.
should have talked about. There's going to be some solo rules for Orbital Blues, The Wanderer, which is really exciting. It's something I felt like we should have for a long time, but just like solo journaling games are like not my speed personally. I like talking to people too much to solo journal. And also my ADHD just means my attention span's too short. But I'm happy that all stuff now exists. We've been just like genuinely overwhelmed by the support that the backers and the fans of the game, both new and old, have been able to express, and the fact it's like been able to push us to this degree. Like, for what it's worth, from a personal level, I went full time on Soul Muppet last week.
Hey, congrats.
Yeah, congrats.
Woo! Yay!
And
Congrats.
that's only possible because of the success of this and other crowdfunding projects. And thanks to the fans. It's such a lame thing to say, but I can mean it here. And it's been a super enormously successful project. And like, we've had a really hard time thinking of stretch goals, Sam, because like there's so many things we want to do, and
I wanted a bomber jacket.
there's
I wanted a
challenge.
bomber jacket. And again, Zach wouldn't let us make bomber jacket.
Well, I wanted a cassette player. You wouldn't let me do that.
I wanted the
there's all
cassette
kinds
player.
of stuff. I've got one lying around.
Behind the scenes is a war zone.
There'll be more. Behind the scenes is a war zone over stuff. But it's exciting, and like getting to do all this stuff is fantastic. And but the main concern for us obviously is like it's like quite easy to make money on a Kickstarter, but it's also really easy to lose money if you then like agree to do loads of crazy stupid shit and then actually spend all your time doing that instead of making the game. So I'm kind of happy with what we managed to get out of it, and it's been good to make sure that we can deliver everything and get people the books that they're after as soon as we can. So enormously overwhelmed by the support of the fans.
I echo that statement that they said. For me, like, Orbital Blues was something that we made in lockdown. I wrote the first manuscript in lockdown, pitched it to Zach just before lockdown, not knowing what would happen. And so it very much came to be in a bubble. So talking to people and seeing the response and the reaction that people have had to it and how much you guys have loved it, it's very much brought it home to me, how much of a thing this is, and why I said at the start about what is an ideal Orbital Blues game. And for me, as long as you feel something from it, it was inspired by like my struggles with dysphoria in the gig economy and being self-employed and feeling quite isolated. And Zach coalesced that into the mechanics with troubles and finding strength and going forward by making amends and making peace with the things that trouble you. So to see people resonate with that and appreciate what the game's doing, it really means a lot. As for what's next, the reaction to it is a double-edged sword, in that I've definitely had anxieties of, can we live up to this again? Can we do something that is as well received as the first time round? I'm really like trying to match, if not top, the subtler system as a sandbox of play, because I love play sets as an idea, and I want to give people tools to tell so many different stories that they don't even get to experience all of the stories in one go, and that people listening to this today can go and play the subtler system and not run into the same things that you guys did, or run into them but do them a completely different way. So that to me is like, it's really nice to hear, and I'm excited for the future of Orbital Blues and what more people have to say and do with the game. And also hashtag Orbital 2s.
Hashtag Orbital 2s.
We get a lot of questions when talking about the game and its tone. It's like, is this game just sad? Does this just suck? Are you gonna like only get experience points and level up by being sad and never make any money because the rules explicitly mean that you can never actually save any money in a meaningful way? And the answer is like, yeah, maybe. But also like, this game is about fucking redemption,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And getting to the end of it. And like, you absolutely can spend your troubles brewing and being sad and have an argument about someone who's sulk on a spaceship, right? That is an extremely meaningful way to do it. Pulling an Eli, going to your favorite airlock and looking out of it into the Milky Void while sad music plays is absolutely a way that you can level up with this game. Or you can stick it to the fucking man and go out in a blaze of glory and, you know, do all the things that you guys were able to do in this campaign and reach like emotional resolution and find new things.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's a game about the world, right? That we actually live in.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can do all that stuff through a role-playing game. We joke about therapy role-playing game, but like, if you're struck with the blues right now, sitting at home, find out what your trouble is, get that thing a brewing, and find some redemption.
Yeah.
Space isn't different. It's just bigger. I'm going to do a quick outro. Any last minute things anyone wants to toss in?
I'm not sad anymore.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh, wait. I didn't ever got to reveal this because I remember everyone was like, "What is it?" Blank's real name. So I did send Brian Blank's real
Cut
name.
the stream.
in
Cut the
case-
stream right as he said.
Honestly,
I'm for sure
I think
gonna
we should
bleep
actually
it
do
out.
that, Brian. Yes. Okay. Cool. For everyone else here, sorry you don't get to hear it, but Blank's real name is Azuka Delgado. But Dad calls him Azu for short.
Very cool.
Of course, it's a cool fucking name, Drake. Get out of here.
Get out of here with your cool fucking names. Yeah,
Get
if,
outta
you know what it is? If you subscribe to the Patreon, you can get the unbleeped episode. It's the
It'll
exact
be a-
same
it'll be
episode.
a
I
redone
love that.
audio
I love that. Do that.
No. We're not that cruel.
That's the next stretch goal.
Exactly. That's the next one. If we get to 100,000, we'll get the Blank's name cut.
We hit 100k. The secret stretch goal is that I will tweet Drax. Perfect.
I love it. And that is all for this episode, and indeed this season of My First Dungeon. If you like this show, please let us know by rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or by joining our Patreon, where you can unlock all the talkbacks for each episode of this season, as well as monthly bonus actual plays from the Many-Sided Media crew. Thank you so much to all the players. Thank you so much to Zach and Sam for joining us and for making this great game. And thank you to all the Kickstarter backers who have supported Orbital Blues Afterburn and helped Behold make a cassette, helped Elliot make a solo game to add on to this wonderful game. And thank you to everyone who plays Orbital Blues. And as always, remember, if you're having fun, you're already doing it right. Bye-bye, everybody. Bang, bang.
Bang, bang. Bang, bang.
If you're hearing this, that means you listened to every last second of this episode. If you're not caught up yet, that's great, because then there's plenty more to listen to. But if you are caught up and you simply can't wait for the next episode, then you should head on over to patreon.com/myfirstdungeonpod and become a member of the Dice Pool. For just a few bucks a month, you'll get cast talkbacks, original games, and a full-length bonus actual play each and every month. As of the end of 2023, there is already over 20 hours of bonus audio, plus a whole bunch of other goodies to enjoy. So head on over to patreon.com/myfirstdungeonpod and jump into the Dice Pool. We'll see you there.